The Atlanta Healthy Start is where I work. I work with women and children. Pregnant women, we try to capture women in their early pregnancy. We provide prenatal education and any social services they may need during their pregnancy and 2 years after. I love it because I can relate, raising my kids in the inner city, myself, having those same issues as a young mother and not having that support. I lost my son in 2010. Me and him was like brothers and sisters because I had him so young. And I was a teenager. And it was like me and him, we grew up together. He had a great spirit about himself. He loved to help people. So now he's one of my motivators. When he passed, everybody was walking up to me. Durante did this for me. Durante did that. And I was shocked. Like, really? And his whole school, the principal, the teachers, the counselors, everybody came to his funeral. And I was really shocked at how much love. But he was a compassionate person. He was a giving person. And he motivates me to this day.
What makes her good is because she's very knowledgeable. And, it's some things that I don't know as a family support worker and questions that I may have. And even if I'm out in the community or in a home visit or at the hospital, I can call her and ask her opinion on, how do I explain this to the young lady, whether it's an older mother, whether it's a teenager, how do I explain certain things, when I'm working with the family, and it rolls off her tongue like with no problems.
I'm the director of the Challenger League, which is a nonprofit organization that was started out of the need for my special needs child that wanted to play baseball. And it started 2 years ago, and he wanted to be able to play baseball like his brothers did. And so I just went to the Dizzy Dean organization here for the typical children that play baseball and just asked, if you'll let me have a special needs organization, I'll do all the work. I'll find buddies. I want the parents to be able to sit and enjoy their children playing baseball. I don't want it to be any extra work for anyone. And that first year we had 20 kids come out to play. And I thought it would be more 6 to 9 year olds, but it was more 13 to 16 or even up to 19 year olds doing it. And mothers would come to me and say, this is awesome. My child's 16 years old and he's never been a part of a team. He's never been invited to birthday parties. Because when you have a special needs child, a lot of times you're isolated. You don't want to be a burden to anybody else, so you just don't get involved. And so this gave the children and the parents a chance to get involved in typical situations. My only dream was to have my child involved, to have my child be able to do something that his brothers got to do, and him not be left out. He's high functioning, so he can understand some, but he doesn't see the ugliness in the world. And so I have people ask me now, where do you see Challenger League going? What do you want for the future? And I'm like, I still feel like we're on this journey because it wasn't my dream to start an organization. I mean, when we started thinking about making it into a nonprofit so we could do more, we had the book Nonprofit for Dummies. So if you want to do something, just keep following, God's lead. To me, this is all of a God thing. Every time a door opens, He fulfills it. We just keep doing what is laid in front of us. It's like God just goes, I'm like, okay, I'll take this step. And He's like, oh no, we're going to go a step further.
Just her tenacity, and there's always frustrations and not knowing where to go, but she never gives up. You get criticism even though you get awards, But and of course I've seen her cry, when she gets frustrated and she gets tired, but she always keeps on keeping on.
I am so fortunate to be the mother of a scholar named Kevin Green. He is a tremendous artist. He draws very well, and he draws a lot. He's been reading since he was 2.5 years old and reading fluently. So he's my little scholar. And then I have Princess Kayla. She's our princess. She's extremely outgoing. She does not meet a stranger. You will know she is in the room. She is truly a born leader. She always rises to the top among peers, and I'm very proud of both of them, and I'm extremely proud to be their mom. It's amazing that you don't oftentimes know the names or the faces of the lives that you impact, but it is rewarding to run into parents, especially when it was not a good meeting, it was something disciplinary related, to run into those parents and they say thank you, because one of the tough jobs about being on the school board is having disciplinary appeals. And what I often keep in mind is that just because someone made a mistake, you can often tell them right off the bat that that is something that they've probably never done before, and that this appearance before the school board is the game changer and you won't ever see them again. And so I keep that in mind in every decision that I make when we have to appeal a disciplinary infraction, to talk to our board members and help them to realize, you know what, we cannot be in the way of this young person's future, and to give them an opportunity to redeem themselves, give them an opportunity to go and have a do-over, because this is their life. And so when we make that decision to say, hey, we're gonna let you back at school and we better not ever see you again, we don't. And when I see those parents and they say, my son got into college, or my daughter, that really made a difference, and I really appreciate you. I don't remember the faces, I'm just dealing with the situation and circumstance. So that's rewarding.
A lot of people say that teaching is very difficult and nobody goes into teaching for the money, which is true. But I think that the reward that I get from seeing what my kids can do and knowing that I'm teaching them skills like how to read and how to count, which is going to be something they're going to use for the rest of their lives, it's amazing to me. And I know that my hope for them is that they break that cycle of poverty and that they're able to do even more and go even farther than their parents have, because I know their parents have come here to provide them with a better environment and to provide them with a better quality of life. And it is my responsibility as a teacher to make sure that I do everything that I can so that they have those tools to succeed.
I feel really happy for her. It's really nice to know that I have one of the best mothers in Georgia. She's really nice and sweet. I love her a lot.
See these children go from being in kindergarten all the way up to, I think they're now in 4th grade, that she started them off with their learning path, and now they are not just great students. They're enthusiastic about school. I've seen these kids run up to her during any school programs and just latch on and hug and speak to her in Spanish before having any conversation in English. And it's amazing to see the transformation that she's come from, as a new teacher.
I have a 2.5-year-old as well as a 3-month-old. So I have Lana, and then Tucker's the 3-month-old. They're my inspiration for everything I do, honestly. I don't know where I would be without them. I never imagined how much being a mom would change my life. And that's what's led me into becoming a birth doula and wanting to help other moms. Just knowing the impact that people had on my life, just from the beginning of finding out I was pregnant, all the way through to now being a mom for 2.5 years. There's been so many people that have impacted my life. The first was my doula, who is the one that encouraged me to become a doula and to become more active in our birth community, which in this area we're a smaller town, so there's not a ton of doulas around here. There's maybe 3 or 4 of us right now that are practicing, and there's women giving birth all day long every day. So that's a very small number considering the amount of people giving birth. But we're working together to really try and change our community and getting groups going for moms, whether they're expecting. We have breastfeeding groups, and we ask that moms come to those groups when they're pregnant. That way you go ahead and you start forming, we call it a tribe. You start forming your tribe. You start getting your support group together before baby's even there. That way once you have baby, you know the women that you can come back to because you've already formed bonds with them. You've made friendships with them. And it helps if you see other women in motherhood before you become a mom, especially with breastfeeding, which is one of the things I'm really passionate about. If you're pregnant and you've never really been around breastfeeding, but you start coming to our groups and you see moms who are nursing their babies or even nursing their toddlers, it gives you a little boost of confidence going into it for your first time. So we try to get more moms to come. Our group's slowly growing. We have 2 monthly meetings. And then I've also got a group for moms who have had losses, whether it's a stillbirth or an ectopic pregnancy or miscarriage or even infant loss. There's such a stigma around it, and it's a very hush-hush topic. So we try to bring light to that. And I still want moms to know, like, she's normal, she's average, like she struggles. Her kids fuss on camera, you know, like I'm just a normal person.
So one recently we were at a school called Rice Creek School, and it's a local public school. And we decided to go to one of their parent involvement nights. And we worked closely with the Title I parent coordinators in each of these schools, and we had sent out or given them about 800 copies of what we call an opt-in form. So you send it home and the parents will look at it and say, hey, do you need health coverage? If you do, go ahead and just fill this out and send it back in, and the teachers will get a hold of us. And by the way, we're going to be at your health night. And we got 7 families that time, which doesn't seem like a lot, but 3 of them came back because of our forms, but 4 of them were just walking by our table and looked at us and said, my child doesn't have health coverage, can you help me? And boy, that's always the best feeling in the world, because you're like, okay, yes we can, as a matter of fact. When I started getting involved with the outreach, you just listen to people and you feel like there's got to be somebody that's able to close the gap for them. And I suppose it's just something inside me that said, you know, I'm going to take responsibility for this. I take it on myself and I will do it because it brings me joy, and I love helping people.